Bill Cosby is a free man, okay? His prosecution, it was fucking weird. I wasn't that in tune with everything that was going on at the time. I thought, yeah, you know what? There's a whole bunch of accusers out there. At the end of the day, it ended up being about 60. Okay, something's got to be going on. It was a different time. Now people are coming forward, and it's like 60 people? Oh my God. And this was 2014, guys. This was pre-Me Too. This was pre-cancel culture. So if somebody came forward with allegations, normally you would think that, yeah, this stuff had some credibility behind it. But then you start to look at all of the extenuating circumstances, and you start to realize that this dude right here, Bill Cosby, one of the greatest comedians of all time, somebody who was depersoned before depersoning was a thing, somebody who was Me Too'd before Me Too was a thing, canceled off the face of the fucking earth, is finally back, and all of his time will not be given back to him, but his sex conviction has been overturned. And this is a dude who, when I was doing research for this, I waited a couple of days, and we're still waiting from the time that I'm recording this to the time that it'll be released. A lot of information is out there. A lot of misinformation is also out there because, oh, he was convicted of a lesser charge in 2004. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fucking get to the bottom of this stuff because, yeah, guess what? That was overturned because everything that they were basing that off of was a fucking lie, a deceit, and a mischaracterization. And thank God, justice, even though he wasted 3 years in fucking jail, has been done. Pennsylvania's highest court threw out Bill Cosby's sexual assault conviction and released him from prison Wednesday in a stunning reversal of fortune for the comedian once known as America's dad, and he can be once again, and it'll be an even better story. And fuck, he's 83 years old and he's finally out there. Ah, man. I wish I would have known more about this story to begin with, and then this just kind of popped up out of nowhere, but it's not about me, it's about the cause. 83, Bill Cosby flashed a V for Victory sign to a helicopter overhead as he trudged into his suburban Philadelphia home after seeing nearly 3 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence for drugging and violating Temple University sports administrator Andrea Constant in 2004. But wait a minute. Okay, if he did this in 2004 and then he got charged and he served 3 years and it's 2001, so 2007. Wait a minute. These numbers aren't making any sense. Yeah, exactly. The former Cosby Show star and longtime comedian, often credited, if not being the best, at least in the top 3, top 5. It's like, for me, he's up there. He's important. He was one of these guys, and another reason. We'll get to that. We'll wrap it up, though. I'll just keep that in my back pocket for a minute. The first celebrity tried and convicted in the Me Too era. Fuck it, we'll just go ahead with it. Without this political conviction, Me Too wouldn't have its teeth. Cancel culture, the bigger picture of all of this stuff, would have had to wait until, what, maybe Harvey Weinstein? And who knows how those dominoes would have fallen. Okay, if Bill Cosby didn't get put away, would all of those fucking fading starlets have come out of the woodwork and accused Harvey Weinstein of anything? Like, I look at Harvey Weinstein in a different light now. Like, I look at him, he's a creep, he's an asshole, he was a very powerful person, and what he's alleged to be doing is some creepy shit, but at the same time, those are all allegations from years past. So is the same thing happening to Weinstein? Maybe it's another story for another day. But because if you go back and you take a look at what Bill Cosby was all about, he was America's dad and the first celebrity tried and convicted in the Me Too era. This goes back to tearing down American values, Western society values right there. Somebody who in their stand-up routine would constantly talk about the degradation of black society. You guys need to pull up your pants, okay? You need to stop letting them sag and stop listening to that stupid rap music and start listening to some of the good stuff out there. The Jell-O pudding. He was so totally against all of that horrific shit that people nowadays are just fucking banging on. All of those strippers, the fucking OnlyFans models, all of those stupid mumble rappers out there just talking about shooting up the club and living there until you're fucking broke and just being stoned all the time. Take some pills to sleep, take some pills to wake up in the morning and just fucking live life. Yeah, no, it's nothing like that. Bill Cosby was totally against that stuff, and that's why I think they went so fucking hard after him. That was building up for a while, and it's kind of the undertone of a bunch of stuff we talk about, so forgive me. He served 3 years of an unjust sentence, and he did it with dignity and principle, said his lawyer Jennifer Bourgine. In a statement, Constand and her lawyers called the ruling disappointing. Yeah, bitch, you fucking made it all up. And they, like many other advocates, expressed fear it could discourage sexual assault victims for actually having to provide receipts and doing it a timely fucking fashion from coming forward. We urge all victims to have their voices heard. Well, funny you should say that, because now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this, okay? So, let's talk about the trial, or in this case, the trials, okay? Because he was tried twice, okay? And the conviction in the second trial in 2017, and the conviction that followed, all predicated on a deposition that Cosby made that was sealed off by a previous former district attorney who campaigned, and you'll recognize this guy's name, he campaigned on a platform of being able to charge Bill Cosby, okay? Now, what happened with that former DA? Well, he went up against somebody else, and it turns out that the other person who didn't campaign on a record of going after Bill Cosby ended up becoming DA. Oh, okay, but what happened with that failed prosecutor? Became the judge in this case. Yeah, nothing fishy about that now, is there? So who is the Goodman who originally did all of this stuff? Well, former Pennsylvania prosecutor Bruce Castor. Bruce Castor. Name sound familiar? Might jog a couple of memories out there. Justified the immunity deal he struck with Bill Cosby that ultimately led to his freedom this week. Oh, something that took 3 years for there to be uncovered? Interesting. Insisting his successor should have known not to ignore it. Yup. The former Montgomery District Attorney told the WPVI that he only struck a deal when he'd exhausted his legal options to charge Cosby with sex crimes. And yes, initially when we were doing some background information on Bruce Castor, who, as you can see a little bit farther down there, who was part of former President Donald Trump's legal team in his impeachment trial over Capitol Siege. Yeah, Bruce Castor, he was that absolute fucking loser that was up there just rambling on for hours at end, complimenting the impeachment trial team of the Democrats and not really getting to anything in particular, and then for the subsequent days was fucking backbenched because he was a loser. And we brought it up when we were doing some background into who the fuck this guy was. Yeah, talking about this then, and didn't get around to it. And that's immediately when flags started to go up in my head about, yeah, we should probably dive into this whole Bill Cosby situation, because I've heard other people talk about it as well, and it's injustice is something that we talk about quite a bit, and the entire Me Too situation and the degradation of society at large is something else that we talk about. So it's nice to talk about this in the affirmative now that everything's been finally cleared up and there's more information out there as to what the fuck actually happened. But yeah, like Castor said, he exhausted all of his legal options to charge Cosby with sex crimes, but felt he could still help accuser Andrea Constant get millions in a civil suit. Of course, because this is how all of this stuff works. Can't get these guys on fucking criminal cases. Couldn't get OJ, couldn't get MJ, couldn't get Cosby, but you know what? Hey, MJ will settle because he needs to get back out on the road and he needs to promote Dangerous and go out on a world tour just before 9/11 with Invincible. And OJ, yeah, oh, who cares that the prosecution decided to fabricate some evidence? Oh yeah, no, but Fred Goldman can go ahead and sue and get millions of dollars in just about every future earning out of OJ, because there's a lower standard of evidence that's available for civic suits. But yeah, no. Go ahead and conflate the two. Oh yeah, he settled a civil suit, or he was convicted in a civil suit. Totally the same thing as criminal charges. In 2005, I had come to the conclusion that there was not enough evidence to arrest and convict him, Castor said, the actor, and accusations that he drugged and molested Constant in his Pennsylvania mansion in 2004. The choices became do nothing or do something. I chose to do something. Good man, good for you. Castor offered Cosby immunity from prosecution only when he participated in a deposition when he was unable to plead the Fifth Amendment, and that's where all of this stems from. You guys might have heard that deposition get mentioned before when he was talking about, yeah, we all just hung out, we drank, and we did Quaaludes because that was the drug at the time, and then the girls, they wanted to do it, and then I'd do some as well, and then we'd
all get fucked up and then start fucking each other because it was fun. Everybody liked it.
Because it was the fucking 80s. It was before cocaine. You did Quaaludes. You got fucked up. And everybody learned about Quaaludes after, I think it's what, The Wolf of Wall Street? Didn't watch it, but I know that Jordan Belfort really had quite the taste for ludes, as kids would call them on the street. They were known as a party drug. And that's what Cosby and all of his accusers were apparently partaking in. Until some bitch decided that her career was up and needed to go back and drudge up some old sexual encounters, ones that couldn't be proven opposite, but hey, we're at the right on the cusp of believe all women, and yeah, you know it, you bring enough of your old fucking disheveled whores around and you can go ahead and make anything stick. Just like Janice Dickinson, the poster child for the virtues of dying young. She was quite possibly the biggest accuser, or at least if we're going by lip size, fake lip size, name recognition value, I digress. To come out and say that Bill Cosby raped me, and she even had the audacity to do it in court. And several other accusers that were up there on the stand during the trial itself would get up, and normally what would be cause of a mistrial, or for that person to at least be excused from the court and then have their testimony wiped from the record. No, something that corrupt prosecutor who wanted to go after Cosby and ended up on the bench in just the weirdest turn of events I could think of, allowed to happen. Not once, not twice, but thrice. But oh yeah, no, Janice Dickinson had all of these vivid and well-documented horror stories that she would tell in court and then immediately got destroyed on them, but continues till this very, very day to maintain our 100% factual, even though it provably false. Janice Dickinson's story accusing Bill Cosby of rape is a lie. There is a glaring contradiction between what she is claiming now for the first time and what she wrote in her own book and what she told to the media back in 2002. Yeah, imagine that, around the same time that she was given her very legitimate and very reliable testimony during the trials. She was peddling a book, which she wrote down her lies for you to digest, much like her and producer cum. Ms. Dickinson did an interview with New York Observer in September of 2002 entitled Interview with a Vamp, completely contradicting her new story about Mr. Cosby. Fucking sucks to suck. That interview a dozen years ago said she didn't want to go to bed with him and he blew her off. Her publisher, HarperCollins, can confirm that no attorney representing Mr. Cosby tried to kill the alleged rape story, since there was no such story, or tried to prevent her from saying whatever she wanted about Bill Cosby in her book. The only story she gave 12 years ago to the media and her autobiography was that she refused to sleep with Mr. Cosby and he blew her off. Documentary proof and Miss Dickinson's own words show that her new story about something she now claims happened back in 1982 is a fabricated fucking lie. And that's what all of these accusations, all of them, just about all of them, I can't talk for every single one, but my fucking god. And the fact that she's been allowed to peddle this fucking story in order to get, I don't know, new injections, and you watch any interview with her, and if you want to see somebody fucking run an early stage animatronic, because you can't really glean anything from any of her video interviews out there, because you can't really tell, because none of her facial muscles work anymore, either being injected so much the sites are dead, or there's too many loads and too much blunt force trauma that's been taken. Just another reason why people should be very cognizant of waking up one day in your fucking mid-60s, realize that your house is empty and you got nobody who'll be there at the end of your life to give you a shit about you. Don't worry, cats won't fill that fucking void. All they're gonna do is just feast on your corpse in the aftermath. But okay, we were also talking about previous videos about plea deals and what they manifest as different trials commence, and eventually it just looks like, yeah, okay, legal fees, court fees are going to end up dragging on for far too fucking long, and if there's a lesser charge that won't involve any sort of jail time or anything too terribly severe, yeah, we can work on something, just fucking make this go away, just pay people off to make them disappear, and that's what Cosby could have taken. But unlike MJ, who settled a couple of civil suits, even though he was cleared and acquitted in record time of every single one of his criminal charges, just like what could have happened with the McCloskeys as well. You remember the gun-toting Ken and Karen out there. who forfeited their firearms and pleaded down to a lesser charge because they couldn't be bothered with being dragged into courts any longer. They could have won it, but at what cost? What financial cost? Okay, we can get rid of our guns. That's fine. Who cares? They'll just buy some new ones. It'll be cheaper in the long run. But that was something that Bill Cosby didn't want to do because he's innocent. At the end of this, he's fucking innocent. Why would you plead down to something that nobody has receipts on, okay? Lead attorney representing Bill Cosby said the felony, a sex assault charge filed against the comedian Wednesday, is a result of political football. Yeah, this is from December 31st, the last day of 2015. Boy, doesn't that seem like a lifetime ago. My client is not guilty, Monique Presley told Savannah Guthrie on Today, Thursday. And there will be no consideration on our part of any sort of arrangement, no plea deal whatsoever. Presley said Cosby has been accused unjustly of a crime, so that's upsetting, but the comedian is in good spirits and he knows that his legal team's intent on defending him until he's exonerated. The criminal affidavit, Andrea Constand, said that while working as a director of Temple University women's basketball team in 2004, she was invited to Cosby's home to discuss her future, okay? The affidavit said during the visit, Cosby gave Constant pills, which left her feeling frozen and paralyzed, and which time she was sexually molested by Cosby. Cosby insists the sexual contact was consensual. Where was her proof? Where were the previous criminal charges filed? Oh, they're absent. Oh, it's almost because you came to the end of your Temple tenure and you needed to come up with some sort of get-rich-quick scheme. Imagine that. And imagine who also would have got in contact with her to turn a quick buck. Civil rights lawyer Gloria Allred, who represents 29 women of alleged Cosby assaulted them, said her clients are very happy that Constant will have her day in court. Gloria Allred, for those of you who are not initiated, is the predominant voice in the legal field when it comes to feminist issues. She is just like Ben Crump and Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson for the other side on racial issues. She is the one who will take literally any one of these moral outrage claims, any one of these feminist issues to turn a quick fucking buck. I don't even have to say mean things because she's setting up herself to be another one of those old cat lady statistics of just dying alone. And again, in order to maintain his innocence, Bill Cosby refuses sex offender programs, so parole is denied. He's not a sex offender. He would hold his innocence to the bitter fucking end. So yeah, we'll go back to the first article now that I gave everybody the backstory, all of the additional information out there as to how steadfast Cosby and his team kept that his innocence was 100% intact. And now, he's a free man. And this would be one of those cases where I'd advocate for reparations because, yeah, he was unjustly imprisoned for 3 years. And it's weird because Kamala Harris actually had nothing to do with this one. Cosby was arrested in 2015 when the district attorney, armed with newly unsealed evidence, yes, the affidavit that was not allowed to be unsealed, the comic's damaging deposition in a lawsuit brought by Constant, filed charges against him just days before the 12-year statute of limitations was about to run out. Not politically motivated whatsoever. But the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said Wednesday that District Attorney Kevin Steele, who made the decision to arrest Cosby, was obligated to stand by his predecessor's promise not to charge Cosby. I don't know, there's this weird thing called the fucking law you should pay attention to. I know it's something foreign to the people in Pennsylvania. Not the people, just the elected officials. But you know what? It's written down, so you should probably pay at least lip service to it. I just can't believe it took them 3 fucking years to come to this conclusion, but here we are, no use crying over spilt milk. Though there was no evidence that agreement was ever put in writing. I think there is, that's why it's overturned. Justice David Reck, writing for a split court, said Cosby had relied on the previous district attorney's decision not to charge him when the comedian gave his potentially incriminating testimony in Constant's civil case. The court called Cosby's subsequent arrest an affront to fundamental fairness, particularly when it results in a criminal prosecution that was foregone for more than a decade. Exactly. It said justice and fair play and decency require that the district attorney's office stand by the decision of the previous district attorney. The justice said that overturning the conviction and barring any further prosecution is the only remedy that comports with society's reasonable expectation of its elected prosecutors and our criminal justice system. Cosby was promptly set free from state prison in suburbs Montgomery County and driven home. And just a nice story to end on this very Independence Day. What we saw today was justice for all Americans, said Cosby spokesperson, Andrew Wyatt. Mr. Cosby's conviction being overturned is for the world and all Americans who are being treated unfairly by the judicial system and some bad officers. Exactly. Like I said multiple times during this one, it really does suck that he lost 3 fucking years of what is, by all accounts, the latter stages of his life, but he maintained his innocence like a total fucking soldier, and he can continue to live with that clear conscience. And thank God there are strong people out there like Bill Cosby. And to these fucking opportunistic cunts that are out there, your narrative is shrinking by the day, and I couldn't be happier, shrinking just like your ovaries. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.